The pagans believed that the spirits of their ancestors lived in sacred forests. In fact, the ancient Prussian symbol for the world was the oak. The gods lived in its branches. The Prussians worshipped gods of the sky, the earth, and the underworld, and believed that various natural and animal deities lived all around them. These deities influenced everyday life, such as weather, health, fertility, life after death, and fortune in war. They sacrificed food and livestock to the gods. One archaeological sacrificial site revealed a stone idol and the remains of more than 200 horses. Lar's journey continues through the lands of the Galindians and Yotvingians. In the early Middle Ages, these territories were sparsely inhabited, and the battles with their Christian neighbors led to the demise or assimilation of both these peoples.
Few people lived in the Galindian lands, which were covered in thick forests and mostly inhabited by wild animals. The hill forts were abandoned, and with no cities, I could not do any trading. Kurshaitis knew that the Galindians had a custom of never refusing a meal or shelter to a traveler if requested. So, seeking shelter for the night, we did not hesitate to enter a Galindian farmstead.
Several closely related families often lived together in fortified farmsteads. Most buildings were made of horizontal logs, built directly on the land without brick foundations. The windows were small and usually covered with animal bladders or sealed with wooden shutters. The log roofs were covered with layers of spruce or birch bark. Records indicate that the Galindians also built residential towers, whose height could have indicated the prestige of its owner.
The pagan diet was similar to ours. They ate peas, beans, and lentils, as well as root crops, turnips, black radish, onions, garlic. Meat was salt-cured in barrels so it would last the winter. To my great surprise, the pagans did not build chimneys, and even the wealthy were unaware that every respectable house should have a stove with a chimney flue. The Galindians treated us with a meal they highly enjoyed called svidini, a sweet scone made out of rye flour, fried and then boiled in pork fat soup. To be honest, these svidini were not very tasty, but we ate everything our host offered us out of respect and hunger from our long journey. That evening, we were served by the owner's wives and drelli, the local name for slaves. As in other Baltic tribes, having many wives was common among the Galindians. I noticed that our host was particularly fond of his youngest wife, and while the oldest wife managed the household, the middle one seemed to be in need of a man's attention. I will say this. Pagan women were in no way worse than those raised in accordance with the Christian faith. And in some ways, maybe they were even better. The next morning, visibly nervous, Kurshaitis told me that the servants had seen what had happened last night. Even Galindian hospitality has its limits, so we had to leave quickly. Kurshaitis warned us of impending pursuit, but unfortunately, I paid little heed to what he said, as I did not feel that sleeping with a pagan woman, even though a married one, had been such a serious sin. Suddenly, a few well-aimed arrows from the woods meant that our Galindian host had taken offense. He engaged the aid of his relatives and servants so they could hunt us down. Fortunately, Kurshaitis knew that the sacred forest lay just beyond the river and that the Galindians would never dare to follow us there. I didn't notice that my fellow companions took me deeper inland, into the lands of the Yotvingians and the Sudovians. The Lord was by my side and we slipped away from the Galindians and reached a local healer who agreed to nurse me back to health for a small fee.